Hey everyone, in this voice recording, I'm going to be speaking on the military academy for officer training and the barracks for legionnaires training, okay, of the military and navy in the Roman Republic, okay? How does one train to become a legionnaire and an officer, okay? And a soldier for the navy and an officer in the navy. I'm also going to be speaking on the Prefectures Academy and also touching a bit upon the Academy of Engineering for the engineers post, which is not a military unit, by the way. Engineers are non-military. Remember that, okay? There's also the forums for tax collectors' duties, but that is really not a subject that is relevant to me, at least for now. So for that, I'll talk about that later. I'm also going to be speaking on the executioners, jailers unit, okay? And their training, and for their soldiers and officers. Now, it's very important to understand this much, that not all training is going to be the same. There's not one military academy for every unit, okay? This is the first thing that must be clearly understood. There is a separate naval academy for the soldiers of the sea, okay? There's a separate naval training, which is not even relevant to the forces on the land, okay? This should be made clear. So it's not one military academy for every unit, okay? No such thing. Now, the officers unit. Look, the Red General Roman military and navy have their own training, traditions, and their hierarchy and structure that is separate from the red and the purple and the prefectures and the executioners unit. Okay, so the Reds, they have their own training academy for officers and barracks for the legionnaires, which means to become an officer in the Red Roman Army or Navy, you have to go straight to a military academy. You don't train with legionnaires. Legionnaires have a separate training from the officers. So this is the first thing. Same thing for the Roman Naval Military Academy. The officers' training will be separate from the soldiers. Okay? It's a separate training, separate everything. Okay? So this is to distinguish between the soldiers and the officers, taking also into consideration centurions and any other ranks in the middle. Now, Caesar's Blue Legion has their own military academy and barracks for legionnaires. It's separate from the Reds. This is one thing. So when I say that it's separate training, it really is. They're not all training in the same building, okay? Caesar's Blue Military Academy is separate, okay? Officers training is separate. Legionnaires training in the barracks is separate for the Blue Legion. It's called the Blue Military Academy. Okay, now same thing for Caesar's Blue Imperial Navy. The color. Yes, the building will have something blue to identify itself, and the red building will also have something to identify itself. Just so that you, as somebody who is curious, either male or female, will be able to prevent yourself from getting into a state of confusion, okay? Now, Caesar's Blue Naval Military Academy is separate from the military forces on the ground, okay? And even in that naval department, there is separate training for the soldiers of the Blue Navy and separate training for the officers in the Blue Navy, okay? They're not training together. Now, in this military academy is where some officer training happens, okay? Now, the Praetorian Guard, they have their own traditions, okay? Their own training, their own separate Purple Academy, okay? Which is usually under direct influence of Caesar himself. And yes, this will be a purple building, okay, to be easily identifiable. And here again, separate training for the guards and the officer. Or actually, in the Praetorian Guard, it's a bit different because the Praetorian Guard is such a small unit. It's not a huge unit. So I would guess that Caesar will decide the rank structure and hierarchy or something, but they have their own traditions, which is usually not in the minds of the Blue Army or the Red Army, okay? Now, the executioners unit, the jailers, the executioners, and the psychopaths have their own psychopathic training, okay? Academy or psychopathic academy, okay? And here there is a separate training for officers and also regulars, okay? The ones that do the dirty work, okay? Look, I'm just saying things for what they are. So not everybody is going to be learning the same things and the same strategies and the same tactics and following the same diet, okay? Now, the Reds have their own traditions. Their officers will handle everything. They're intellectuals, they're educated members, whatever, okay? So the military training in the Red Academy for the land and the sea will be handled by the generals of the Reds, okay? Enough said on that. Now, Caesar's Blue Legion, same thing, okay? They will have their own training, diet by their generals, okay, who are the Roman gods, okay? Enough said about this. Same thing for the sea, same thing for the land, okay, in the blues. Now, the purples, that is Caesar and the generals there, it's their issue, okay? Enough said about that. Now, the jailers and executions academy, for them, they have their own officers or whoever is in charge over there that will conduct the training, the education, and et cetera, et cetera. So enough said about that, okay? Now, I touched upon all of the armed forces in brief. So yes, I'll speak more about the training now, however, only for the Blue Legion in upcoming voice recordings because the Reds have their own training, so it cannot be confused with the Blues and the Purples. And the Purples are Caesar's issue. The Blues are the issues of the Roman gods, and executioners have their own issues, okay? That's all I have in this recording. See you people later. You can check out some links in the description box below if you're interested.